Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 397. Today is Saturday, January 8th, 2022, and I'm glad you could join me today. It is a beauteous day in the city, which is exciting. I had a 9:30 to 2:30 breastfeeding class online. Would it be? So that was, would it be? A lot of information, but not overwhelming, just okay, I got to spend today inside. Oh well, I may end up going on a walk to the grocery store to pick up some stuff and call it good. Which may involve walking up the hill with a bag of flour. Maybe. Maybe I should bring a backpack. And I finally, we ended up having pretty late lunch because we didn't feel like eating lunch during the lunch break. And I got to use my apron, and I remembered to use my apron, and that was good. So, hopefully I will no longer get bacon grease splattered on my weekend t-shirts. Not that I have, not that weekend t-shirts are different than weekday t-shirts at this point. Based upon my cord length, the small t-shirt fits me in the shoulders and nowhere else. So that was just awkwardly cold underbelly nonsense. So it'll be a while before I wear my small t-shirts. Hopefully at least a whole month. Yeah, no, that'll actually be interesting because Nugget's supposed to come the day of the 400th episode, so we'll see who beats who. And then it's going to be pretty, I don't think there's going to be a lot of, or the class on breastfeeding was likely the best knitting time that I was going to get this weekend. Whatever. Such is life. Yeah, probably. Honestly, it's almost like toasty enough that I'd like to open a window. It's 54 outside. I probably shouldn't, but but yeah, no. So there's just a lot of busyness and assembly and getting everything ready to go for tomorrow, because tomorrow is 2 baby showers roughly back to back, all at home, all over Zoom. So there is some procrastination in terms of figuring out how I'm going to approach that problem, but it'll be fine. So, I feel like it's actually been like a pretty productive knitting and spinning this week, but I also think it will be a brief episode because, who knows? I think it's a brief episode and then it turns into an hour, so whatever. So I have my delicious hot coffee. I should drink it in a reasonable amount of time. Life continues on. But speaking of Nugget news, Nugget now has a rainbow baby surprise jacket. The only thing that I need to do at this point is purchase zippers for both of the baby surprise jackets. And I was waiting until I was done knitting baby surprise jackets to purchase zippers because I figure this is a situation in which shipping 2 zippers is going to be way cheaper than shipping a single zipper, or I bet they're going to be about the same price. So, and I am so pleased with how this rainbow yarn ended up turning out for this. So I received that, what would it be, the rainbow fiber from Helen, who is Modern Zest, as a part of the Secret Santa, and I'm thinking pretty hard about actually splitting that into quarters so that I can have that perfect amount of rainbow in like another project, as you do. So that's like superfine merino and tencel, so it wouldn't necessarily be useful maybe in the same way, but I'm happy with this quarter gradient sort of situation. So turned out really cute. I ended up binding off with both yarns held together. I figured that nicely brought in the colors, and so I just have like a little bit of yellow on this side. So I have yellow and orange left over. It would have been nice to have used all the yarn, probably. Would it have been annoying to figure out how to make that happen for this back and forth section? Yeah. So it just has like a little extra gray block in it, and that is fine. It means that the front has more continuous rainbow, which I'm okay with. And it does get pretty big at some point, so my number of stripes ended up being much fewer, or would it be few rows of stripes. So it'd be the case where it very quickly transitions from blue to green. But I'm pleased. I'm also very pleased that would it be managed to get lots of cool tone in there. But also that we just have like a very nice little rainbow going on the back, so should be cute. So, and I suspect this is going to be the last nugget knit for a while. I'm going to adopt a wait and see approach. I have 3 hats. I have 2 sweaters. Both of these sweaters are like 1 year size sweater, so I could procrastinate more if I felt like it. As you do. I shouldn't. Like, I'm getting such a horrifying volume of packages here every day. Like, what's one more to the pile? And that will likely even come in an envelope, so that's fine. But what would it be? But yeah, no. Like, maybe I'll make mitts, or maybe I'll wait and see how everything comes together. Not planning on making socks. So what was it? I ran into one of my local friends at the LYS, and she is very dedicated to the socks for her kiddo lifestyle. I don't know if I have it in me for that. It seems like the only thing she knits is socks for her kiddo, so I don't think I'm that committed to the woolly sock lifestyle, but who knows? Whatever. We don't know how it's going to turn out. So, would it be the next thing, which turned out to be, I think, a pretty perfect project for the types of knitting that was going on in my life, though I'm having a moment right now where it's like I picked it up and immediately found like a little loose end, so the appropriate action in this situation is for me to bury that guy. What would it be? Like, we're talking an amount of end, which is less than a stitch at this point, because I do wear this sweater both ways. So this is my crayon etching that I knit last year. It is out of Neighborhood Fiber Company in a custom dyed colorway based on a fractal that I sent Karita. And very vintage stash. Like, this was, I think this yarn was knit into my second sweater. This is now whatever the second incarnation of this yarn, but no big deal. So there is the linen stitch on the outside, and then I also really like it the other way quite a lot, which is the texture linen stitch makes on the wrong side. Really cute, really like how that turned out. So you definitely get like the really nice depth of color. So this is sort of like teals and navies. Yeah, I would say teals and navies end up making this yarn very, very much so in my wheelhouse. I was dissatisfied with the sleeves. Specifically the sleeves up to, or would it be the sleeves past the ribbing. So I ripped, found the end, ripped the sleeves back to the linen stitch, and then reknit them with size 6 needles instead of size 8 needles. And then I did a faster rate of decrease. So I did decreases every 4 rows instead of 6 or 8 or something like that. And then once I got to a tight enough sleeve that was in the right ribbing pattern, that was when I stopped doing decreases. So it's not too tight, where would it be? But it definitely is tight enough in the sleeves now where I think it's actually going to make it wear a little nicer in some ways. Would it be? But now I don't have like giant gaping holes where the sleeves are, and the sleeves actually can reach all the way well into my hands, but like not in a way that's like super annoying. And I even wove in the ends during the class today, as you do. So I did a slight rejiggering because the size I knit this sweater is not optimized for the bust that I have right now. But it fits and is complete, and I'm gonna check here with how it's turning out, or how it's turned out here. So the sleeves are a little bit warbly, but that is a pretty decrease though, isn't it? It's nice. Obviously that's a little bit out of rotation, but whatever. Oh, well, whatever. So very, very pretty decrease, even though that wasn't necessarily the, or I didn't necessarily, would it be? I made it aesthetic for the other way around. So this is good for wearing now. Would it be? Like, the next time I have, water, ooh, this is making me look like a total ghost. There we go. We have returned the red tones to my face. Probably okay. So the next time that I have a sink of water with the no rinse wool wash in it, I'll do a quick block. Yeah, no, these are the same length. I just knit until I had enough tail, and then I counted the number of stitches that I was away from binding off, and then undid it and basically doubled that in order to get every last bit of yarn used. I was this was a split decision. I had one which had a tail which was a little longer than I would have liked, another one where the tail was a little shorter than I would have liked, but it's okay. It's fine. there was sufficient tail to hide those ends. Life continues on. So I am really excited to get that spiffed up. So now, would it be? Because it'd be the case where I really like my worsted sweaters right now. So, would it be? Yeah. So I want to be able to wear them and have them be in the best possible shape. Would it have been a great stash activity? Sure, but I wanted the sleeves longer for a while now, so it's just better to get it done. I did not redo any of the other ribbing because it's sufficiently long in the body. So if the gauge isn't really matching between the sleeve ribbing and the bottom ribbing, not too worried about it. Or the folded collar I put on there. So, 2 things finished this week. One of them today. Yeah, I ended up, I don't know. Yeah, because I don't think I was done with the baby surprise jacket when I podcast last time. It took a bit to get around to actually steaming it, so it was nice that I had that other sweater project going so that I could like keep making forward progress. So it was the case where I could knit on that when I was out and about, as you do. So what this has meant is that my Donner is now moving again. And actually, it is, I'm actually working on a sleeve. I finally did it. It felt like it took pretty much, it took way too much, excuse me, of Thursday night knit night to pick up the sleeve, but I eventually just sort of was like, okay, this is apparently the pickup rate that this wants to be, and I'm just gonna have to accept it for what it is, and life continues on. So the pattern has you like sort of like mark out thirds, and then I think to make it a little bit easier to pick up the right number of stitches, so that instead of like being like you reach the end of it and you're like, I am however many stitches off, whatever, making it so you can like trim that a little bit more. But I definitely had like crazy making things like changing my rate of pickup to skip and still getting the same number of stitches out in the end and being like, what is going on? So at some point I just had to call it and be like, I guess I'm gonna just have slightly more stitches, and I can't bear to keep repeating this until victory. So that's fine. So Donner is an Elizabeth Daughtry pattern. She actually has you do like a very small amount of short rows. I am not 100% sure if the benefit of the very small amount of short rows is actually going to come through, because it's probably not more than, it's probably like just like a half-inch difference or something like that between, like it's not a lot, but whatever, such is life. I'll do it on the other one, it's fine, whatever. So we're just gonna make this one like the other one and call it good. But yeah, no, so I've gotten like actually like a couple couple inches of sleeve done because, Lord be, since this is a boxy sweater, like this is my sleeve, Lord be, only needs to be, or whatever. My sleeve is starting here, so you don't really need a whole lot of sleeve in order to get good arm coverage. And I'm thinking I'm actually almost done with the number of decreases the pattern calls for, but knowing me, I might just, or would it be, I'll have to figure out what I want to do there exactly. Because I don't like it so much when, or would it be, because like if I look at my arm, like a lot of tapering is happening in that part of my arm. So it makes sense that you would keep decreasing in that section. So I'll like, but I do need to cross-reference stitch count still, so I think what that boils down to is, or would it be, so by cross-referencing stitch counts, I will then know, what would be, have it so that it reaches my target stitch count, wherever the ribbing for this bad boy starts. I don't think I followed her recommended ribbing either. I think I just put in regular ribbing. That's fine. We'll make it work. So, coming along nicely. I have my ball out because the ball also looks pretty hilarious at this point. So it's not, like, I've definitely used a decent amount of yarn. It is hollowing out, but it basically like made like this little like yarn cone, for which it probably won't end up changing too much. It's more like the outside is slumped down, so it's just sort of conical yarn at this point. Like the outside is slumped, probably. But such is life. And I am really struck by how pretty this yarn ended up turning out, so in that regard, I'm pretty happy. It'll be interesting to see sort of with the whole finished final sweater how everything ends up looking. Would it be like if we end up having obvious pooling, or I think I'm going to really regret that stitch marker fell out. Oh, it's not terrible. It's easy to read because I'm right by where the decrease happened right now. So yeah, no, or would it be, I am, or since this is a pattern row, that's not too crazy. So it will be interesting to see like my overall impression of how everything's coming together. I don't think, would it be there, you can definitely see more of the colors in the texture, I think. So I find that to be interesting. This might end up looking like a little bit more stripy, possibly, but it's not like I'm super duper far into it, so I'm not to the elbow yet if the sweater's ending up a t-shirt. So should be interesting. And then I think once I get to the point where I've decreased enough that these little markers are gone, then I'll go ahead and mark the other side, split it into thirds basically, so that I can immediately launch from one sleeve to the next. And then after that, it's just a whole lot of straight, easy knitting. So should be good. There really isn't too much more to the directions at this point. I am knitting the sleeves out of sequins, and that is just mostly because I like working sleeves earlier, and then that means I have that bit covered, and then don't need to have any guessing games and stuff like that. See, since the light's pretty good today, yeah, I don't know whether or not you can really see the majesty of the color because it's a little bit pinker and warmer in real life, but this is a sample. A 10-ounce sample, but oh my gosh, there's just so much yarn. I guess that I'll have to figure out, what would it be? I don't know if it makes sense doing like a ball rewinding, because then I will be pulling from the outside of the ball. Oh, we'll figure something out. But yeah, no, that is all of the knitting. So one thing worth noting is that Woolly Wormhead is having a January sale, so if you're not a newsletter subscriber, you get 25% off, with like, I don't know, you can probably like look up the coupon code on Instagram for Woolly Wormhead. So I ended up picking up the full Elemental ebook. What would it be? It's something about like wormheads in January. And I figured that ended up being like a smart choice because you got all 5 patterns for what would be the price of 2 patterns bought individually, or less than 2 patterns bought individually, but not with the sale. So I figured that would be good. It'll be interesting to explore that now that I am okay with knitting more hats than the one true hat. As you do. So I don't know if I'll end up starting that project soon, just because, would it be? It's sort of like a strike while the iron is hot sort of thing. Or if I'll decide to do something else. But it seemed like it was like, yes, I've bought yarn to knit this pattern. Yes, I'm gonna make this. May as well pick up the pattern, because I'd rather buy the pattern when I cast on, but it was definitely a case where I'm like, ooh, well, these patterns are definitely pricier, so so I may as well take advantage of the sale. But I'm also guessing that in order for me to sort of power through this sweater, I really just need to have it be the only project for a while so I can keep making forward progress. Like after I get that other sleeve started, then it's gonna be pretty autopilot moving forward. So that's the thought process there, is it just ends up making it cleaner and nicer in that regard. And what would it be? Then I can start thinking about what I would like to do next. Like what I'm actually ready for. It's always quite possible that it's going to end up taken me a month to finish that sweater too. So there's that. So I'm just letting it be chill and it'll be fine. And yeah. I probably should put it away in the bag, but whatever. So what's going to be entertaining though is, so after that fake stash sort, so this is where this is like my bag of traveling. So if I'm leaving the house, but also like just relocating, so all of my projects are in here and I can just pick up the bag and move it in the house where I need it to be. But I'll need to put away my Vulmisa Decay. I'll probably reskein this, and then so maybe, I don't know. I haven't decided if I want to just reskein it or rewind it, but I have ample of this. And then I need to deal with like my rainbow leftovers, so whatever. Going from there. Like, oh, put away the needle? Yeah, there's a lot that could be done. So I'm guessing if I start fixing this pair of socks, I'll be distracted from the sweater, and I'd just like the sweater to be done. I would also like to be able to wear these socks. So this is living here, but it's sort of on that casual as needed basis. And then the spindle project is living in the bag, because if I feel like spindle spinning, might as well have it ready to go. But I don't believe that I've worked on it this week, but it is a part of my spin the bin this year. So it's gonna get done. I may need to work on it a little bit more faithfully than I have been, because what I have, or would it be, it appears by weight that I have 3 ounces of unspun fiber and 1 ounce on the bobbin right now. So I am a quarter through this section. What this means, in sort of the bigger term game plan, is that, or would it be, so this is one of those like spinning whips. I do want to get it done. I do want this yarn, all that fun stuff, but I'm content for now with keeping it on the spindle. Whatever. If I change my mind and do throw it on the wheel, it'll probably be later in the game, basically. Where it'll be like, this is the last thing in my bin, like, come on. And like, I've definitely done that before on projects, so I'm not too worried about that. And then the other thing, so this didn't end up making the bin, but I did end up finishing it, is this is my Nest Floret Rambouillet that I blended on the drum carder as a layered bat. So I had a layer of green, and then I think I put together some sort of gradient of pink and yellow and white on top, and it makes cool yarn. Really focus. So there are sections where I drafted more green for a while. There are sections where there's more yellow than pink. So it should be, this is probably close to my blended sort of fiber, but in like a less blendy way, if that makes sense. So this one probably has more chunks of color in it, because I don't have as many layers. So if I wanted like every color to be in every draft, I would have needed to have broken it into more layers. So having a base level of forest green and then putting the rest of the fiber on top of it meant that you could sort of pick and choose when you were drafting the green versus the not green parts. So this is 2 ounces here. Pretty fine, very soft. Or would it be, definitely the Rambouillet has, like, it definitely has that sort of like soft sponginess to it. It feels good. It's probably gonna have like more of a matte appearance when it's all finished. But I finished that last night and decided that I didn't want to break into the next bat until after the podcast, so I could show you the bat before I spin it. So here is the rest of my bin. Oops, my wheel is nearby. It just isn't very useful. So this normally has my plastic garbage bag of fleece in it. But I am just using it to contain all of my bin fibers. So I have this pink to white to green gradient, which has all of, or would it be? So this guy has a little bit of yellow in it. This guy has no yellow. This guy has more light green. This guy has no light green. So all 8 colors of that 1 ounce fiber sample are in both of these, but they don't necessarily have every color in each half. So whatever. I concluded, or would it be, I sent my Secret Santa partner, Jen, she ended up getting a layered bat that was a solid layer of all 8 colors, and then a layered bat that was a gradient of all 8 colors across it, with a decent amount of blending, because drum carding is not precise. If you don't want your colors to mix, don't drum card. If you do want your colors to mix, drum carding is pretty awesome for that. So, and what would it be? There is a little bit of like stuff. So, what would it be? One side is gonna have a little bit less pink showing, and the other side's gonna have a little bit more green showing, and I don't know which one is which. Well, it looks like this one has like a little. So this side here has like a little bit of green coming in here, so that's probably the way that worked out. So this is what's going on my wheel next. I'll pull another bobbin. I'm going to Z-strip it in the same way. So I have all of these little tails, which are from where I was lifting, or whatever. This was where I was pulling it off the doffing strip in little bites at a time. And I'll use those sort of as rip points, because this end is smooth, there are no little bites taken out of it. And then I'll just spin. I don't know if I'm going to spin from green to pink or pink to green. But by Z-stripping it, it'll still be a gradient, or it'll still spin like a gradient. It may not be as like perfectly clean, but I think that's a fine way to spin it. We'll just put that down there. So I showed you the 3 ounces of my Battling Angora spin. That is 2 ounces of Rambouillet from Nest. This counts as 2 projects here, which are my Battlings with the more blues and teals in them. And this is definitely going on the wheel at this stage of the game. So this is my blend of the Blurple Merino Alpaca with the Hobbledehoy Battlings, which were like Polworth and Silk and Sari and that sort of thing. This is definitely going on the wheel. It's probably going on the wheel after the bat. Just because I want to make forward progress on this stuff. become clear to me that if I want, or would it be, if I want things to be done like in a semi-reasonable time frame, the wheel, I'm more willing to sit at it and work on it for a longer period of time. The spindle, having a spindle project is great, and that's why the other one's staying on the spindle until I feel deadline pressure. Because I definitely like my spindle spun yarn quite a lot, but I will not get through the 25 ounces of fiber if I exclusively spindle spin it. The other thing was I needed to like set my bar as low as humanly possible, and would it be, that was the best way to do that. So the final thing is another project which I was intending to work on. Or would it be, it's something that I had pulled out as like a potential Tour de Fleece project and then didn't get around to it. So what I have here is, this is blue fin, or this is fin that I dyed myself at Yarn School 2018, in sort of blues and grays. I think I was nominally trying to create some sort of gradient, but that was, I tried stuff, it didn't work. It's still a gorgeous, beautiful fiber. So there's 8 ounces of this fin. And then I have these 2 bumps of Hello Yarn Sap. And so this is 70s merino top wool. And so this has like blues and greens and yellows and browns in it. And this is going to end up being drum carder food. Basically. So pound of fiber counts for 8 projects for spin the 8 months for spin the bin, giving me a total of 12 projects that are 2 or 3 ounces apiece. And I am going to basically make another sweater spin using that same layered bat mentality. So what would it be? Lots of practice trying to figure out how to create that type of yarn. And then I'll have to figure out spinning wise like how I want to like approach it, if I want to do something like a 4-ply to get more yardage out of it or what. But I figured that was gonna make, or would it be, there's enough, there is enough, what is it I'm trying to say? There's enough sort of complement and, I'm trying to think of what the opposite of complement would mean. So that yellow is that sort of complementary color to blue, and even there's a little bit of like orange in there too, along with sort of those other like cool tones that I know and love. Have to laugh a little bit because I'm looking at that fiber and I'm looking at this project and I'm like, am I gonna make another earth tone thing? But I think the overwhelming majority of that fiber is going to be that blue. Oh, I guess the question is whether or not it's like that proper tortoisey blue, even though I don't really understand Doctor Who. Whatever. So I pull that aside. It's all officially in my bin now. I will officially start spinning my bin maybe today. I don't know, I might be busy. But yeah, so this will be the case where, what it be? Should make a really pretty sweater. it's closer to the colors that I would like to be using for the sweater that I would like to make. So that also gives me a little bit more practice in terms of how much I want something from the other end of the color wheel on there, because that's going to set up the proportions that I dye to for when I start working on the Romney, because I'll dye on the fleece, blend on the drum carder, or dye on the fleece, make into bats, and then maybe have like a second pass, which is more like a color mixing pass. So that is the thought process. So it would be the case where it's like, okay, playing with this way of blending fiber, actually making a sweater with that type of fiber. Now it's like, okay, making a quantity I know for sure is a sweater quantity, making a sweater out of that, and then digging into the fleece project. And I also suspect the fleece project will end up being a heavier weight yarn because the Romney is, whatever, it has a pretty loose wavy crimp to it, so I will also need to be mindful of how I'm spinning it, not putting in too much twist, not overdrafting. So it's probably going to end up creating it'll end up creating a thicker yarn, which is in line with my desires for San Francisco knitwear, where you don't need a coat. If you have a nice sweater, you don't need a coat. Whatever. And I'm looking forward to the time when my coat fits again, but that is not the season of life I'm in. It's like, it's laughing and be like, arch the back. Would it be like the baby boob interface eats t-shirts, that's for sure. Eats up that space, no big deal. So anyway, so that's where my spinning plans are right now. Who knows how life is going to change, so what would it be? And the other thing that I ended up doing was to take the pressure off. I opted for not being in Use It or Lose It this year, because like at the end of the day, I participated in a fiber swap for which the intent was to take something from your stash, and I bought something new. Because despite how much fiber I have, I do want to use all of it. Whatever. That's my own weird, what would it be? It was super nice to go through all of it and being like, oh man, like past Molly was very fancy and treated future Molly to all sorts of silk blends. Like, so much silk blend. Normally past Molly is terrible to future Molly, but in regards to stash, A+. What would it be? Yeah, no, there's a very small number of things in my stash where it's like, meh. There's nothing where it's like, and there's a lot which is like, whee. So, what would it be? Most of my stash is very squee. So, what would it be? It should be fine. And there's probably something to be said of things in my stash which are from that that 10 years ago time frame, so whatever, I guess 11, or would it be like the oldest thing in my stash are from 2011. So it'd be like, yeah, no, that I was in a very different place in my life. I was in graduate school. I was working on my PhD. Like, what it be? It's just a different season of my life for sure. I was living in the Midwest. I didn't make a lot of money at the time, so would it be now? Now it is the case where, would it be? The time is the more precious element, right? So the time to craft, and I walk into this knowing full well that my time to craft will be changing soon. So what would it be? And I think would it be the other aspect of what's going on, which, whatever, because there were a lot of stash discussions this week, which were like, sometimes the most creative part of the whole process is figuring out, like, I want to knit this pattern with this yarn, and you get that matched up, and the rest of it is just execution. There isn't too much creative going on. So I think that's why I really like these drum carder projects, because, excuse me, it really draws out the process, the creative process of how am I going to use this color to execute my vision. And it takes much, much longer to create that vision on a drum carder than it does to add yarn to a cart and hook by. But just food for thought. And now I'm laughing at myself because I did, whatever, we're close to an hour. So, whatever, it's not the end of the world. I'll just laugh at myself a little bit. I should have given more credit to explaining all my spin the knit projects. Whatever. So, should be a-okay for podcast recording next week. Would it be, unless weird things happen? Would it be? It'd be the case where I think I'm now in the time region where, would it be, like, I'm in the time region now where it's like, would it be, like, will the baby be coming soon? We don't know. When will Nugget arrive? When Nugget finds the exit. Like, we can only assume Nugget is looking for the exit. So, would it be? Like, it's not yet time. It's getting close. It's getting close enough where it was just like, oh crap, how am I gonna pass up all this stuff at work? But not necessarily in that regard. It's more like, okay, who will be responsible, and letting them know what I've been doing so they can pick it up and do it instead of me. So, should be fine. But, yeah, like, it's not, or would it be? It's more like me being kind to the people who will be doing stuff in my absence than it is, oh my god, there's so much that needs to get done and I have to do it. So, should be good there. Yeah, or would it be? And I have not yet decided what the post Nugget arrival experience is going to be like, so follow me on Instagram at Deepbluerenegade. Might be more information there. So, should be good. with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week. So, take care, guys. Bye-bye.